For those of you who are getting used to Solid Edge 2D, here's a quick introduction on how the program is laid out. Firstly, we have the ribbon bar, which has various options broken down into different types of functions. We also have a command bar, which is sensitive to the command that you're in. So as we change our command, you'll see that the command options are changing. We also have a prompt bar down in the bottom corner, which gives you instructions on what the command is expecting. We have help options over on the right hand side, which gives you various options on where to go. For example, we have a tool the user interface command, which shows you some of these commands directly. If the Learn Solid Edge icon isn't available on the right hand side, you can start it up with the help index at the top. We also have the viewing commands down the bottom, which allow you to zoom, pan and rotate if you're in 3D. And we also have a command finder, which allows you to type in a word and it will help you find various commands where they are located. So if you want to action them from this list, you can directly, or you can just go and find them from the ribbon bar. And lastly, we have the quick access toolbar, and you'll see various options up here. We can choose to show it below the ribbon bar if you wish, and as you move over a command, you can right mouse click and add to quick access toolbar for those commands that are frequently used. So with Solid Edge 2D, you'll see that we have a sheet set up similar to what you would find in Microsoft Excel, and we can right click on the sheet and you can see that we've got the options of inserting and deleting and reordering. Also we can see that we've got 3 different sheet formats. We've got background sheets, working sheets and 2D model sheets. The 2D model sheet is synonymous with the model space in AutoCAD, and the working sheet, which is what you see at the moment, is a paper space. So as you can see, we have a background associated with this. If we double click on the sheet tab, we can bring up the sheet setup. We can specify a sheet size and a default scale. On the background, we can see that we have 4 template sheets available, and in this case they vary in sheet size, and we have the option to name the sheet as well. So if we right mouse click again, we can switch on the background sheets. So these are just sheets that are available to be used. Solid Edge comes with a template, as I said earlier, and you can actually modify that template so that you have your own base title blocks and stuff. So on the background sheet, you'll see that all of this information is editable. So you set it up here and then hide the background sheets again, so that you can just use them on the working sheets. So now let's look at the other option here, which is a 2D model sheet. So basically this is working one-to-one, and this is where you do most of your drawing. So let's now look at how the drawing environment of Solid Edge 2D works. It is parametric. We have basic drawing tools, lines, arcs, circles, shapes. We also have relationships that you can apply to elements, and inferred relationships which are governed by these you can turn them on or off as you wish. So if we started drawing, we can pick up on a line command, and as you see, as you start drawing, you have an angle and dimension relationship, so you can actually key in an actual size as you're drawing. You can also see a glyph on the end of the cursor, which indicates that we are horizontal. So as we click and start drawing, you can see that these relationships are being applied. So here we have a horizontal relationship. As you pick on it, it highlights the element that it's related to. Here we have a endpoint connection, and you can see that it connects to two endpoints. Just showing that they are parametric. If I pick on this line, we can actually drag it and the other one follows suit. If I try and rotate it, I can't, because we have this relationship on here, which you can just select and delete as you wish. So now you can see that I can actually just rotate this around. So if we carry on drawing, we can pick up on an endpoint. You can see the key points highlighting quite nicely. If we just quickly draw in some extra lines, you can see that it's picking up off that geometry. Because I started on this line, it's recognised its geometry, but I did end the command and restart again, so it has no recollection of this element here. So as I move over, just hover over it, it then re-establishes a connection to that element, so that we can actually finish off drawing. Now you can see that we actually have the ability to edit these as we wish. It still holds together. If I select an individual element or all of the elements together, you can see that we have the option of going projection lines, which helps us just to sort of work off other views. So if I did a rectangle by 2 points, I can pick up off the other geometry and just draw that in. As you see, if we move it around, it doesn't stay connected, but you can build that in if you wish. We have a connect relationship here, which would go from a key point to a projection line. Now if we modify this, you'll see that both will change depending on which one we build the relationship to. And again, we can build this on here, and likewise the same will apply at the other end. We can also use the horizontal vertical relationship to not only apply to a line. In this case, if we click on this line here, as long as it's not on a key point, it will change it to a horizontal or vertical, whichever it's closest to. Likewise, we can use it to build relationships between key points. If we hover over the end point and the midpoint, it will actually drive those two together. So now, as we move this, we've got multiple relationships being applied at the same time. Other things that are important are dimensioning. If we pick on the smart dimension, which is a little bit like a dimension element, we pick on an element and we apply the dimension. You can see that the dimension value comes up, and we can resize it at the time of placing the dimension. We can also use it to do a distance between by clicking the first and the second element and then placing the dimension. Likewise, we can resize it. So we have a number of other tools. We have the dimension between, and the way that this one works is you specify the first and then the second line and place a dimension. When you place the next dimension, you get the choice of whether it's going to be stacked or chained, and that derives how other elements will be placed in subsequent relationships. If we went in and placed another piece of geometry here, we can look at some of the editing tools. We have a trim command, which you can just hover over and it will trim back to the next intersection or endpoint. If you've got multiple edits that you want to make, you can just sort of sketch over the bits that you want to get rid of, and that will be maintained. Likewise, if you want to build some design intent in here, we can go to an endpoint connection, and then if we move this around, that both sides of that slot will change directly as well. You'll also notice here that we have a different colour for our dimension. We've dimensioned this one twice. This one is a driving dimension, this one is a driven dimension, this one is driven by other elements. So as you build in your design intent, they may well turn blue automatically so that you're not over constraining something. One other aspect of Solid Edge 2D is the ability to use layers just as you do in AutoCAD. So for example, when you open a new file, you would typically have a default layer and an auto hide layer. The auto hide layer will just hide elements or dimensions so that when you're working on a working drawing, they can be hidden. So if we go to our select command, we will see that we have options on our command bar. The smart select is a way of selecting similar typed elements, and what you do is you pick up on an element and then it gives you a selection type. In this case, we just want to look at the element type. We want to change all those dimensions through to the auto hide. So if you go through and it then selects them all, then we can then click on the move elements over here and select the auto hide. So now we've got two different layers. If we click on the element, you can actually see that it's highlighting the auto hide layer. If we click on one of the lines, it's actually highlighting the default layer. So you can actually see which layer it applies to. If you want to add a new layer, you just click on the command, give it a name, so we could say side view, and create a second one called front view. Just like we did with the other ones, we could just maybe select a whole set of elements and then move them across to the side view. And likewise with these elements here, we can move those across to the front view. Then you have the ability to right mouse click on any one of these views. You'll see that there's a pencil on the active layer. On any other layers, we can actually just hide those if we wish and re-show them. So we have a little bit of control over the layering of the different elements. So now we want to look at maybe creating a working drawing of this. So what we do is we go back to our working sheet, and under here we have a 2D model view, which then switches us temporarily back into our 2D working sheet, and you select the area that you're interested in, and you then choose your scale to fit the page and place a drawing view. Likewise, we can do the same with the second view. Just select it and then place it on the drawing. Then what we may want to do is build some relationship between the two views. So if we right mouse click and go to create alignment, we can then pick up on option up here. We can go by key points and align those two views. So now that when we move one, both are being moved to the same position. Next, we just want to have a look at how the styles of the elements are controlled. If we go back to our 2D model view, we can pick up on a line, for example, and go to properties, and we can see that it has its own set of properties: line style, width, color, and what that line style is based on. So if we just go OK on that, under the View tab we have this style setting, and you can see that we can change any of the standard dimensional or line styles. These are held within the file itself, and that's if you want to set your own standards, you need to go into the template file and change them there so that they'll be available for all of them. So if we look at lines and visible, we can go and modify that. You can see that it has a setting in here of 0.35. We could maybe make that 0.5, for example, make it a thicker line, go OK, and you can see that that has affected the thickness on each of those lines. Also, you'll see that your visible style here is one of the standard selectable ones. If you want to create your own style, you can just choose one which is close to what you're after, go in New and give it a name, and under the General tab we can change it from a black or white style to a red style, and go OK, and then that comes in under our list of styles that will be available to everybody. The organizer here is another tool that allows you to switch these styles between files.